Hello, friends. Today I'm going to take you into the hidden secrets of America's national parks. Before we begin our journey, there's something important to know. These structures aren't in guidebooks, rarely appear in historical records, and in many cases remain completely unexplained. Deep within America's national parks lie secrets few have seen and even fewer understand. Beyond the well-marked trails and scenic overlooks, the wilderness holds structures that defy explanation. Stone formations carved with precision, towers that rise where no settlement was ever recorded, tunnels that disappear beneath the forest floor. These aren't the ruins of famous landmarks or documented historical sites. They are enigmas, preserved by isolation, waiting for discovery. Explorers, hikers, and park rangers occasionally stumble across these anomalies, and their reactions often blend awe with disbelief. Some are small and subtle, like carefully arranged stone circles in a clearing. Others are massive, concrete bunkers or watchtowers that appear impossibly out of place. Their presence raises questions. Who built them? Why? And why were they left to be reclaimed by the forest? Over decades and even centuries, nature can erase almost any trace of human activity. Yet these structures endure, silent witnesses to a story only partially remembered. Historians suggest several possible origins. Some structures may be remnants of early settlers attempting to tame the wilderness, abandoned cabins, crude foundations, or lookout points that served practical purposes and were eventually forgotten. Others might be linked to indigenous peoples, ceremonial sites carefully placed in remote locations for spiritual or astronomical reasons. In some cases, the evidence points to more modern activity: secret government projects, Cold War-era bunkers, or abandoned scientific research stations that time and foliage have hidden from sight. What makes these findings so compelling is their power to challenge assumptions about history. A forest clearing might hold a stone circle older than the first recorded settlers in the region. A concrete bunker could date from a time when few believed the area had strategic importance. Each discovery forces us to reconsider not just who lived in these lands, but how much of the past remains hidden under the canopy of the present. Technology has brought new revelations. Satellite imagery and drone surveys are uncovering features invisible from the ground. Remote ridges, dense forests, and deep canyons suddenly reveal geometric patterns and artificial constructions that stir curiosity and debate. Yet even with these tools, interpretation remains elusive. Are these structures practical, ceremonial, or something entirely beyond current understanding? National parks are more than scenic beauty. They are repositories of mystery. Each hidden structure represents a puzzle piece, offering a glimpse into forgotten lives, secret operations, or lost knowledge. They invite exploration and speculation, beckoning those willing to venture beyond marked paths. The stories of these hidden monuments are only partially told, and each new discovery promises to expand our understanding of America's past in ways both fascinating and unsettling. The canyon seemed ordinary at first. Bright Arizona sun bounced off sandstone cliffs on September 14, 2018, when Josh Harlow, a 42-year-old geologist, and his niece, Emma, a 19-year-old college student, decided to explore the remote section of Grand Canyon National Park near Tanner Ridge. They were searching for unusual rock formations, but what they found instead made Josh stop in his tracks. A dark, narrow opening carved beneath the sandstone, almost hidden by a curtain of hanging vines, stared back at them. Did anyone even know this was here? Josh whispered, brushing his hand over the cold, rough edges of the entrance. Emma's eyes widened. The opening looked ancient, yet the concrete lining inside suggested something far more modern, something deliberately built. Neither of them could explain it. The air from within smelled damp, metallic, and strangely sweet. Something about it didn't feel right. They had stepped into a secret, but whose? And why had it remained untouched for decades, swallowed by the canyon as if nature itself was protecting it? Josh took a flashlight from his backpack and shone it into the darkness. The tunnel extended far beyond what the eye could see, the walls unnaturally straight, reinforced with concrete in places, jagged in others. "This isn't mining," he muttered, kneeling to examine the markings on the stone floor. Emma shivered, wrapping her arms around herself. "Maybe it's military?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, but there was a hesitation in his voice. The area had been scouted for decades by park rangers, hikers, even geology teams. Yet no record existed of tunnels. No maps, no surveys, nothing. A sudden echo rolled out from deeper inside the passage, a metallic clang, or was it their own footsteps? Josh froze. Emma's stomach tightened. Whoever built this, they had built it carefully, and perhaps they hadn't wanted anyone to find it. Stepping inside, they crouched low as the tunnel descended at a shallow angle. Water dripped rhythmically from the ceiling, the sound amplified in the concrete-lined corridor. Emma tripped over a metal pipe jutting from the wall. "Watch it," Josh snapped, pointing his flashlight ahead. Shadows danced across rough rock surfaces, forming shapes that seemed almost alive. They passed what looked like a small storage room, rusted barrels, broken crates, and a faded warning sign partially obscured by dirt. Josh picked up a metal tag stamped with numbers, a curious mixture of letters. U-SEM-T-1948. He frowned. That was decades after World War II. Decades before any park project should have needed concrete tunnels here. Was it abandoned research? Military testing? Something more sinister? He shivered, realizing the canyon was hiding a chapter of history no one had officially documented. As they pressed forward, the tunnel widened into a cavernous chamber. The flashlight beam caught graffiti etched into the walls, some of it surprisingly recent. Emma gasped, pointing to a crude drawing of a face with hollow eyes staring from the stone. The air felt colder here, damp with an almost metallic tang. Josh's hand brushed against a switch box on the wall. It sparked slightly when touched. "Electricity?" he murmured. That shouldn't have been possible. A low rumble echoed, perhaps the canyon shifting or something moving inside the darkness. Emma's voice trembled. "Josh, I don't like this." He wanted to reassure her, but even he was beginning to doubt what they had stumbled upon. Whoever had constructed this network had planned meticulously, and their work had survived. Decades, untouched, waiting for someone curious enough to enter. In the chamber, they found a narrow side tunnel partially blocked by debris. Curiosity outweighed fear. Josh began clearing rubble, but it shifted unexpectedly, revealing a ladder descending further into the shadows. He hesitated, considering retreat, but Emma's wide eyes and eager curiosity urged him on. Carefully, they climbed down into a lower section. The air was colder now, and the walls were slick with condensation. Faint graffiti indicated human presence over decades. Initials, dates, sketches, but nothing explained the original purpose. The tunnel twisted and branched, almost like a maze, each corridor lined with concrete reinforcements. Something about the symmetry felt planned, purposeful, deliberate. Josh couldn't shake the thought that they were walking through someone else's secret world, a hidden system built for reasons he might never know. Hours passed, or maybe only minutes. Time felt distorted underground. They found small metal cabinets, long empty, but one contained brittle documents. The writing was mostly illegible, except for fragments mentioning Project Shadow, dates in the 1950s, and cryptic instructions. Maintain secrecy. Do not disclose. Josh's heartbeat quickened. Military jargon? Top secret research? They were holding pieces of a story someone had tried very hard to bury. Emma whispered, "Do you think anyone alive remembers this place?" Josh shook his head. "If they do, they won't talk. A sudden clatter in the darkness made them jump. Shadows moved just beyond the flashlight's beam. Was it wildlife or something else? The tunnel seemed alive, responding to their presence. Deciding they had seen enough, they retraced their steps cautiously. Each turn of the corridor felt more oppressive than before. Water dripped steadily. The faint smell of metal lingered. Josh's mind raced, connecting dates, tags, graffiti, and documents. This wasn't a random tunnel system. It had been carefully designed, reinforced, and maintained, at least for a time. But why had it been abandoned? And why here, in one of the most visited national parks in the world, with no one ever noticing? As they neared the entrance, sunlight filtered through vines, almost blinding after the dark. Stepping outside, Josh inhaled sharply. The fresh air never felt sweeter. Emma laughed nervously. "We actually went in," she said. Josh nodded silently. They had witnessed history no one was supposed to see. Weeks later, Josh reported the tunnels to the park authorities, but records remained scarce. Officially, nothing existed. He and Emma returned only once, mapping what they could with discreet drones. Each flight revealed more complexity. Tunnels stretching further than their flashlights had shown, chambers concealed behind rock formations. It was as if the canyon had been hiding a city underground, a secret project erased by time. The realization settled in slowly. Some mysteries were never meant to be solved, some histories deliberately hidden. Yet for those who stumbled upon them, the tunnels left a lingering question. How much of the past remains buried, waiting for discovery? By the bold or the curious? Fog clung to the ridges of Shenandoah National Park on October 3, 2019, when Martha Collins, a 55-year-old historian, and her longtime friend, Henry, a retired forest ranger, climbed a narrow, seldom-used trail near Stony Man Mountain. The mist swirled around towering oaks and hemlocks, dampening sounds and making every snap of a twig seem louder. Henry stopped suddenly, eyes narrowing at a silhouette, partially hidden by thick moss and ivy. "Wait, is that a tower?" he asked, pointing. Martha squinted through the haze. There, rising silently among twisted tree trunks and fallen leaves, was a stone watchtower, seemingly forgotten by time. Its walls were weathered, streaked with moss and lichen. No local folklore mentioned it. No maps marked its location. And yet it had stood there, centuries untouched. A chill ran down Martha's spine. Who had built this, and why? Its presence on a remote ridge hinted at secrets older than the forest itself. Secrets no one had bothered to record. As they approached, the tower's base revealed cracks where roots had pushed through, yet it remained astonishingly intact. The entrance was a low arch, the heavy wooden door long gone, leaving only shadows within. Martha crouched, brushing away leaves to peer inside. The interior was hollow but circular, with a spiral of crumbling stone steps clinging to the walls. A faint scent of damp earth and decayed wood lingered. Henry muttered, "This doesn't match any settler construction I've seen." His voice echoed oddly, bouncing off the interior stones. Sunlight filtering through the fog created strange shifting patterns on the floor. Each step upward felt like a climb into history itself. They ascended cautiously, the stones cold beneath their hands. Somewhere above, a bird cawed sharply, startling them. The silence returned, heavier this time, as if the tower itself was waiting to reveal something long forgotten. Halfway up the spiral, a small opening revealed carvings etched into the inner wall. Martha's eyes widened. The symbols weren't random. They were deliberate, geometric, almost like a code. "I've never seen anything like this in Shenandoah," she whispered, tracing the shapes with her finger. Henry leaned closer, frowning. Could it be indigenous? Or maybe something older? The thought lingered, unsettling them both. Every creak of the tower seemed amplified, echoing the weight of centuries. Outside, the fog pressed closer, muffling all sound except the occasional rustle of leaves. They paused, letting their eyes adjust. The view from the small window slit revealed a panorama of ridges and valleys, untouched wilderness. Yet, amidst the beauty, the tower felt oddly deliberate, almost out of place, as though it had been constructed for a purpose no one alive today could guess. Reaching the top, they stepped onto a narrow parapet. Wind whipped around them, tugging at coats and hair. From this vantage point, the surrounding forest looked endless. But it was what lay beneath the moss that caught Martha's attention: tiny inscriptions in the stones, dates spanning back to the early 1800s, interspersed with symbols she didn't recognize. Henry traced them with his gloved hand. Settlers? Maybe. But look at the craftsmanship. It's precise, intentional, and like anything settlers typically built in the region. The thought of an earlier civilization constructing a watchtower here sent a shiver through both of them. A low, distant rumble echoed through the ridge. Was it the wind, or the tower settling after centuries? Neither could say. The sensation of isolation was total, complete. They were alone, standing on a relic of a past no one had remembered. Martha discovered a narrow passage leading down a hidden staircase behind the tower. The air was cool, thick with dust and decay. Steps led to a small chamber with remnants of a fireplace and iron brackets that suggested wooden beams had once supported a roof. Scattered stones and what looked like an old tin box lay in the corner. She picked up the box carefully. It was empty, but the lid bore an engraving of a symbol matching the carvings above. Henry muttered under his breath. Someone wanted this place kept secret. They explored further, uncovering a network of small rooms and alcoves that seemed almost ceremonial. The tower was more than a lookout. It was a structure built with intention, precision, and purpose. But for what? And by whom? The answers remained tantalizingly out of reach. Descending the hidden staircase, a faint rustle startled them. A squirrel darted out from the shadows, but the echo made them jump. Martha laughed nervously, breaking the tension. Even the wildlife seems wary of this place, she said. Henry shook his head. Or maybe we just feel the weight of history pressing down on us. They moved carefully back through the spiral stairs, noting the odd alignment of windows, slits, and walls. The construction suggested someone had intended long-term use or observation, yet no record existed. They speculated. Early settlers creating a secret lookout? An abandoned military outpost before the Civil War? Or something far older, lost to time and memory? Each possibility felt simultaneously thrilling and impossible. Back outside, the fog had lifted slightly, revealing rolling ridges and distant valleys painted with autumn colors. The tower loomed above them, silent and enigmatic. Martha knelt, tracing the mossy stones with her fingers one last time. Whatever this place is, she said quietly, it's been waiting for someone to notice it, maybe for centuries. Henry nodded. They photographed, mapped, and documented what they could, but official records remained non-existent. It was as though the tower had been deliberately hidden, both physically and historically. Walking back down the ridge, they felt the forest watching, aware that its secret had been touched, but not fully revealed. The tower would remain, moss-covered and silent, its true story buried beneath layers of time, waiting for another curious soul to climb its steps. Weeks later, Martha published her findings in a small historical journal, sparking curiosity and debate among local historians. Some suggested early settlers. Others theorized indigenous ceremonial use, or even clandestine observation posts. But no one could provide definitive answers. The watchtower remained a mystery, a symbol of hidden history, of forgotten construction, of purposes lost to the centuries. Its presence challenged assumptions about who occupied these ridges and why. For Martha and Henry, the visit left an indelible mark, a reminder that even in familiar landscapes, history can remain hidden, just beyond the beaten path, waiting for those willing to explore and wonder. Rain-slicked pine needles crunched beneath the boots of Carl Jensen, a 47-year-old history teacher, and his nephew Liam, a 21-year-old photography student, on November 11, 2020. They were hiking an off-trail section of Olympic National Park in Washington, drawn by rumors of strange concrete structures whispered about on obscure forums. Dense fog hugged the forest floor, muffling the calls of distant birds. Then, half buried in a slope of mossy ferns and fallen branches, they spotted it. A concrete bunker, rectangular, austere, almost perfectly preserved despite years of weather. Rust streaked the surface, faded warning signs clung to the walls, and a heavy metal door hung slightly ajar. Liam crouched, shining his flashlight inside. The faint smell of oil and dust wafted out. "It's intact," he muttered. Carl's pulse quickened. Nothing in any park brochure mentioned this. Not on maps, not in any archives. Could something like this have been hidden in plain sight for decades? Silently waiting for someone to discover it? They stepped cautiously over roots and debris, flashlights piercing the dim interior. Inside, the bunker was eerily quiet except for the occasional drip of water echoing through empty halls. Equipment lay scattered: rusted control panels, broken meters, stacks of yellowed papers. Each item told a story of a place once alive with purpose, now abandoned, frozen in time. Carl ran his hand over a metal console, reading faded stenciled letters. "Observation Station Classified." His stomach tightened. The Cold War? Here? In the middle of a national park? It didn't make sense. Liam's camera clicked repeatedly, documenting every detail. Shadows clung to corners, making the room seem larger than it was, alive with history and mystery. They realized that decades of secrecy had preserved something extraordinary, a relic hidden among the trees, overlooked by generations of hikers. Moving deeper into the bunker, the pair discovered a narrow stairwell descending into a lower chamber. The air grew cooler and thick with dust, carrying the metallic scent of long unused machinery. At the bottom, rows of control panels, dials, and switches lined the walls. Papers and metal racks detailed instructions for surveillance equipment, communications protocols, and cryptic references to Sector Alpha Omega. Carl whispered, this was a monitoring station. But for what? Who were they watching? Liam crouched near a stack of notebooks, flipping through diagrams that seemed technical yet incomplete. Faded photographs depicted men in uniforms, their faces blurred, holding equipment that looked like it belonged to a bygone era. The place felt frozen in the 1960s, but untouched. Someone had walked these halls decades ago, and then vanished. A sudden clatter echoed from the far corner. Carl and Liam froze. Their footsteps had been careful. No wildlife seemed capable of making such a sound inside concrete walls. Heartbeats raced. Liam shone his flashlight toward the noise. Only shadows. But a faint metallic groan suggested the bunker was settling, or something was moving with them. They exchanged tense glances, realizing the history here was not just academic. The bunker had been part of something secret, something potentially dangerous. Yet its preservation suggested care, even after abandonment. Whoever built this had wanted it to last, and perhaps feared it being found. Every step deeper felt like trespassing in someone else's memories, a Cold War ghost hiding in plain sight. Carl examined a faded warning sign above a door. Authorized personnel only, radiation risk, he frowned. The bunker might have been more than a surveillance station. It could have housed experimental equipment or strategic materials. Liam shivered, imagining the decades of secrecy maintained here, unnoticed by the public. Each corridor twisted like a labyrinth, amplifying the feeling of isolation. The occasional rusted pipe or dangling wire created shadows that danced across the walls, turning the concrete into a living, breathing entity. The forest outside felt distant, irrelevant. Here, time had stopped, leaving Carl and Liam suspended in the tense, frozen atmosphere of a bygone era. The Cold War had left its imprint in the most unexpected of places. In a small storage alcove, they discovered crates labeled classified, top secret, long opened and emptied. Notes and handwritten logs suggested regular maintenance, inspections, and coded communications with unknown recipients. Carl muttered, "Someone knew this place mattered? Enough to check it, maybe even operate it, and then disappear." Liam's camera caught the glint of a faded map on the wall, with locations marked in red ink stretching across the Pacific Northwest. The purpose remained opaque, but the meticulous records hinted at planning, intelligence, and a network now forgotten. Their discovery wasn't just a relic. It was a glimpse into a hidden past, a shadow of tension, vigilance, and secrecy. The forest had swallowed the bunker for decades, keeping its story silent, waiting for curious eyes like theirs. Hours passed as they explored the labyrinthine interior. Footsteps echoed, wind seeped through cracks, and distant water dripped steadily from the ceiling. Every corner revealed more evidence: equipment designed for monitoring, old radio devices, faded signage warning of hazards, and notes that hinted at experiments or surveillance. Carl realized the bunker was not random. Its location in the dense forest provided concealment and strategic advantage. Liam commented on how eerie it felt to touch objects that someone had depended upon daily, only for the world to forget them entirely. It was a snapshot of history, frozen in stone and metal. And the more they uncovered, the more they understood how much of history had been deliberately hidden in plain sight, even in the midst of protected lands. Exiting the bunker, the sunlight filtering through tall evergreens felt almost blinding. They stood quietly, letting the air of the forest cleanse them after hours of damp, tense exploration. Carl took a deep breath, glancing back at the concrete structure partially obscured by trees. "No one will believe this," he said softly. Liam nodded, feeling the weight of the secret they had touched. The Cold War relic had been preserved not by intention, but by isolation and obscurity. Its story remained mostly untold, leaving questions about its original purpose, the people who operated it, and why it had been abandoned yet intact. The forest had concealed it, a guardian of forgotten history, silently waiting for discovery. Weeks later, Carl and Liam attempted to report their findings. Park officials were intrigued, but confirmed no official records of the structure existed. Maps didn't mark it. Archives didn't mention it. Locals hadn't passed down tailies. The bunker remained a ghost, a concrete monument to a tense era, forgotten yet enduring. Carl and Liam returned once to photograph the site more thoroughly, capturing the eerie emptiness, the rusted equipment, and the oppressive sense of secrecy. Standing outside again, Liam whispered, "It's strange. Like the forest itself is keeping it safe." Carl nodded. Some secrets, some histories, are meant to stay hidden. And yet, we found it. The bunker remains in the dense forest to this day, unnoticed by casual visitors, preserved by trees and secrecy. Its existence challenges assumptions about public lands, history, and the hidden footprints of global conflict. For those who stumble upon it, it's a chilling reminder that beneath serene landscapes lie relics of tension, vigilance, and human ingenuity. And sometimes, discovering them brings more questions than answers.